Welcome back to FM Story. We're in February of Season 4. Things have been a bit more patchy this season in terms of our form than in previous seasons. But we are still in the Champions League. We are still in the Copa del Rey. So we've got big games coming up in those competitions. We're still sat fourth in the league currently, level on points with Sevilla and only behind them because they came back from 4-0 down to beat us 5-4. So let's see what happens going on in the season. Before we do get started, if you do enjoy the video, please like, comment and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get going. We are about midway through February now. We've got a big game coming up in the Champions League against Shakhtar. But so far, February has been a really, really strange month. So we started off losing 3-1 at home to Almeria. Another game where we just disintegrated late on, and they got 2 goals in the last sort of 15 minutes to win the game. We then bounced back with a really good performance, comfortable win against Hercules in the Copa del Rey 4th round. I mean, obviously we should have won, but based on how we performed in the previous round against Peña Deportiva, the performance was what really kind of stood out in this game. But then we played Villarreal in the quarterfinal and just weren't at the races and got hammered. We then went away to Shakhtar in the Champions League and for the first 55 minutes weren't at the races, and we then basically kind of threw everyone forward to try and get back into the game. We got a goal but couldn't push on any further than that. But then most bizarrely, we've just beaten Real Madrid 2-1 at the Bernabeu. I mean, let's be honest, when you look at the stats, they absolutely battered us. 19 shots. They only had 6 on target though. XG of 2.93, 55% possession. We had 5 shots, 4 of them on target, scored 2 of them. XG of 1.25. I mean, we got lucky in that the goal we scored early, cross came in, it flicked off a defender and looped up to the far post for Nico Williams to head home. Then in the second half, both sides got fairly dodgy penalties. Luckily for us, Valabra had gone off by that time, our normal penalty taker. By far our best penalty taker, but for someone who's got the attributes that he's got, to miss that many penalties is truly bizarre. But Nico Williams stepped up and got his second. And then we were just about able to hang on in the second half. I mean, they started probably not with their best team, but I mean, they brought the likes of Benjamin Sesko and Vinicius Jr. off the bench. But we were really kind of hanging on in that last 10 minutes or so after we got the winner. So hopefully this can be a positive thing to kind of kick us on in both the league and hopefully to overturn this deficit against Shakhtar. In the league, we are sat 4th. We're now 3 points behind Sevilla and 4 points ahead of Celta Vigo in 5th. So hopefully we can push on, pick up another few wins and kind of consolidate that top 4 position, because that's, in previous seasons we've only been expected to qualify for Europa League, but because obviously we've qualified for the Champions League every season, the aim is to qualify for the Champions League. We are struggling a bit in front of goal in terms of we don't have that out-and-out goal scorer that we've had in the last couple of seasons. Valabra, his form's just not there this season compared to what it was in previous seasons. I mean, this season he scored like 10 goals in 20 league games, whereas like the last 2 seasons he's scored 39 in 37. His form's more like it was in the first season of the save. So we might see a lot more of Nico Williams playing through the middle than Valabra towards the end of the season, because we seem to be performing a bit better with that personnel. Going into the second leg of the game against Shakhtar, we're hoping that the home advantage can do something in terms of allowing us to overturn the deficit. We've got pretty much the strongest team available, because Guillemon's injured, I think. Well, injured. So we're going to play Nico Williams through the middle. we're going to play Inaki Williams from the left, and we're going to play Danny Rodriguez from the right, because he's just come back from an injury and was performing well around the sort of turn of the year. So hopefully that we've got enough in that team to tie around. Certainly that game against Real Madrid was a bit of a surprise. In terms of the performance, we defended well and didn't commit any really stupid mistakes. Hopefully the Muniain behind the front man can get a bit of space or drag the centre halves out of the way for Inaki Williams and Danny Rodriguez coming in from the flank. That's it. Javi Lopez to Inaki Williams. Oh. An early goal would be brilliant, just to level it up on aggregate. Right, Inigo Martinez picks it up at the back. Zubimendi, Muniain. How did he not hit the target? How? Muniain's performances this season has dropped off a cliff as well. Not quite as big as Valabra's drop, but he seems to be giving the ball away a lot more this season. Inaki Williams. Right, we're giving the ball away quite a lot. Danny Rodriguez to Muniain. I mean, some dodgy goalkeeping and defending and everything there, but we'll take it. That's level the tie up 2-2 on aggregate. It's a lovely pass by their defender straight to Nico Williams. I mean, Danny Rodriguez at 5'4" was never going to win a header at the back post there, was he? Oh! I mean, overall, that was a pretty decent performance in the first half, but they can't be as bad in the second half as they've been in the first half, so we're going to need to make sure we get that goal to get in front on aggregate. I mean, when do we make a change is the big thing here. Inaki Williams. Right, now, what is the change that we're going to... I mean, it might be a case of Muniain off and Haaland John Guerrero on as a direct replacement. Just try and get a bit more control. Suddenly since we've gone ahead on aggregate, they suddenly start to attack. Danny Rodriguez. That's got to be offside. I mean, it's great play by Danny Rodriguez, but Unai Ibanez had only been brought on because Javi Lopez was knackered. Scored a screamer from the edge of the box to secure the tie. Just one touch. Right, referee, you can blow your final whistle now. Oof, that was nearly a disaster. Great result. And when you put that back to back with that Real Madrid game, there's positive signs that we might have turned a corner here. Following the Shakhtar game, the upturn in form didn't last particularly long. So we won the next game against Getafe in the league 4-2. We were comfortably 4-0 up. Velabra managed to miss another penalty. But we were 4-0 up. We took a few players off, brought some young players on to give them some experience. They pulled a couple of goals back, but we still won comfortably 4-2. Malaga, we were 1-0 down at half-time, but we were the ones creating all the chances. We scored 2 goals in 5 minutes to go 2-1 up, and then conceded a stupid free kick on the edge of the box in injury time, and they put it in the top corner to deny us the victory. Then we'd been drawn against Man City in the round of 16 in the Champions League, who we went out to in the quarterfinal last season. They got a penalty early on when Erling Haaland scored. We equalised. Kevin De Bruyne scored just before half-time to put them 2-1 in front. But overall, we actually acquitted ourselves pretty well. I know it was the home leg, so really we should be doing pretty well. But we had plenty of shots, plenty on target. We got that goal. We just couldn't convert any of the chances in the second half. And we're going to have a tough game in the second leg coming up just now. And then the game after Man City was away against Real Sociedad. We took an early lead. They scored a screamer in off the post to equalise. Then nicked another one just before half time, and we just didn't do anything in the second half. It seems to be the pattern. Second halves, we just can't create or take chances. But next up, we've got the game against Man City, and going into the game, we have a few issues. So Inigo Martinez is injured. Javi Lopez broke his arm against Real Sociedad, so he's out, and Valabra's out as well. So we're down to, we've kind of got a few issues here. So I suspect we're going out of the Champions League, but at least if we can put in a decent performance and keep it close, then we can maybe just run on in the next few games in the league and pick up our form again. So as we said, we've got a few issues with the team in terms of this second leg against Man City. So Javi Lopez is injured, so Unai Ibanez is coming in at left back. Inigo Martinez isn't available on the bench because he's injured. Valabra is now on the bench and is available to be on the bench, but isn't fit. Odriozola's come back in. He's been out for a long time, so we may struggle. I mean, especially when you look at the quality of that team. Cancelo, Diaz, Guehi, Laporte playing left back. Rodri, Kimmich and De Bruyne as a three in midfield with Bernardo Silva, Foden and Haaland up front. There's a good chance we're going to get a hammer in here. So they are playing Laporte at left back, which is interesting. I wonder if we can maybe get some joy attacking down that left-hand side. So our right-hand side, so Dani Rodriguez cutting in maybe with Odriozola on the overlap. Depending on whether Foden's going to track back and cover. It's not a good start. And that's a terrible clearance. And that's a really bizarre pass from Bernardo Silva. Right, Inaki Williams got the knockdown. Nico Williams. Oh! We've nicked the ball. Oh. All that firepower in the team, and it's Kimmich that opens the scoring. I mean, we've only got ourselves to blame for that one. We gave it away in a stupid position. Yeah, this is about to go badly, badly wrong. Oh, man. And Dani Rodriguez to the byline. Oh! This is a bit like the second half of the first leg was. We were creating chances, just couldn't get them on target or put them away. I mean, to be honest, that could have been much, much worse. But now we're out of the Champions League, we need to focus on the league. We've only got league games left, so hopefully that'll allow us to refresh some of the players and push on to guarantee that top 4 spot. We've now reached the time of year for the youth intake. Before we get into that, we'll just have a quick look at what we've done since the Man City game. So after we got knocked out by Man City, we've played 3 games in the league and we've won them all. Villarreal, we beat 2-0. And given that we got knocked out of the Copa del Rey by them and we lost to them in the league this season, that was a pretty decent performance and a pretty decent result. Following on from that, we beat Elche 3-0 at home. They had a player sent off in the first half, which we then missed the penalty from. We also had 2 goals disallowed, so it could have been a lot more comfortable than the 3-0 scoreline suggests. And then a weird and wonderful game in the most recent game against Espanyol. They scored after 18 minutes. Then Iker Muniain danced through the Espanyol defence to equalise in the next minute. Then he blasted in a free kick from the edge of the area. Then Zubimendi smashed one home from 25 yards after a corner was cleared. Then Guillamon put us 4-1 up. They pulled a goal back. Then Muniain completed his hat-trick to make it 5-2. Then they went straight up the other end and scored again to make it 5-3. Then Valabra made it 6-3. Then they had a goal disallowed in injury time for offside, which would have made it 6-4, but obviously it ended 6-3. In terms of the league, we're in a bit more of a secure position. So we're back in 3rd in the league with 3 points clear of Sevilla, but we've still got to play them again this season. And we're 7 points clear of Celta Vigo, who've played a game more than us. So hopefully that should be us fairly secure in that top 4. Now the question is just finishing above Sevilla and seeing if we can carry on our performance of finishing in 3rd in the league every season. So it's time for the youth intake. This is the preview, which, as with every other season, has been a 5-star intake. Although the report doesn't suggest it's going to be a 5-star intake. So we've got a decent fullback coming through, a decent central midfielder, and 3 decent wingers, and potentially a couple of wide midfielders that might be okay. So obviously, as per usual, we'll see when the youth intake actually appears as to whether that materialises. And so here is the intake. So despite it being an excellent intake, we've only got 2 elite talents. So we've got Maturana, who can play it on the left-hand side or potentially play through the middle. Very determined, good flair, very good physicals for a 15-year-old, especially considering he's only 5'5". The acceleration, the balance, the technique. Looks like he could be a very decent player for the future. And then we've got Aaron Barry, who is either a fullback, a right winger, or a centre forward. I suspect more, decent passing, decent tackling. Potentially a fullback that can play as a wingback. He's 6'1" as well. Good jumping reach. Don't actually really know what he is. And then in terms of top talent, so we've got Inigo Barrera, who can play on the left-hand side of midfield, in the centre of midfield. I mean, potentially he's a deep line playmaker with the passing, the technique, the first touch, the decision-making. We've got Juan Serrano, who's another full-back. Looks like he can play on either side. Good leadership as well. The physicals are a bit not there. And another right winger, Eduardo De La Fuente, who can. Right, so he's fit. And is he a right winger or is he a centre midfielder? He's not. I can't see him in centre midfield, the passing and everything like that. Maybe with some development, potentially playing behind the front man, but I think probably the right side of midfield for him, right wing. And then in terms of good talent, so we've got Mikel Iglesias as a goalkeeper. on a par with the goalkeepers we've had out of the youth intake in the last couple of years. And we've got Alex, another right back, just as well because we found right backs quite hard to find when we've been trying to sign players. And we've got a centre half who looks okay. 6'1" as well, so hopefully can develop into a threat in the air. Another right winger. Someone who can play either sides, but looks more like a deeper player than. And then we've got a deep line playmaker. Overall, I would say probably the weakest of the years so far on the save in terms of the youth intake. But obviously, it's just we'll just have to find out how they develop. And that's the end of this episode. Join us next time to see if we can secure our place in the top 4 and qualify for the Champions League. We'll see you then.